The first two speakers we have for you this morning have come from Helsinki and come from Mexico as well. Guys, they are from the Economic Space Agency. They have just written a new book that they're going to tell you about. Please make them feel very, very welcome. Put your hands together for Akseli, Virtanen, and Jorge Lopez.
Great. Thanks, Pops. You have these slides? All right, hey, let's go. So thank you for the invitation and a great introduction. And good morning, friends. My name is Akseli. I'm a political economist and a member of Economic Space Agency. I'm talking here today with Jorge Lopez, who is a distributed protocols architect and a digital grammar wizard, also from the EXA core team. Maybe the next slide.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, we've been working for quite some time with a set of protocols for post-capitalist economic organizational expression. We think of it as a new kind of medium, an economic medium, a formal language that encodes and communicates economic realities. And as such, it gives people power to redefine economic practices. It gives people power to express economic networks and capture the premium of being networked, the value of being networked. So drawing from formal languages, linguistics, semiotics, we show how ledger grammar can transition from a tool for capitalism to a language for post-capitalism. The EXA Economic White Paper, Protocols for Post-Capitalist Expression, it came out a little long, so it's coming out as a book by one of the well-known radical publishers, Minor Compositions, based in London. Now, one of my favorite philosophers, Gilles Deleuze, a French post-structuralist philosopher. He wrote this not so well-known, but to me an important essay called How to Recognize Structuralism. Structuralism was one of the key intellectual movements in the 20th century in philosophy. Now, in this essay, he says that no books against structuralism are important. They mean nothing. They could not prevent the fact that structuralism was the productivity of its time. And he continues that, in fact, no books against something are important. Only those books that are for something new and know how to create it are important. And we are trying to talk today a little bit about what our book and the EXA project is for, and how we are thinking that we know how to create it. So, Jorge, shall we start? How do we get there?
Well, first, thank you, ETH Barcelona, for having us here, and thank you guys for showing up so early. We really appreciate it. And we're here, and I really like the introduction, because we're really here to tackle a little bit of a comfortable topic in the blockchain space. And that has to do, obviously, with the centralization of power. And what we're hoping to do during this presentation is trace its origin, as Akseli was mentioning, to a grammar, a language, a storytelling capacity that is embedded in the ledgers that we utilize and that affect how we interact with each other. And of course, the blockchain space and its ledger formats are no exception to this force. So there's a blockchain a paradox in the blockchain space, and one is like there's a dissonance between narrative and reality. There's a lot of aspirations, and there's a lot of uses that we wish blockchain is going to enable to do it, but somehow we find ourselves replicating the old structures, as aspirational as we are. So to reveal this or to open this up, we need to understand that a network protocol has different layers. And although blockchain is definitely decentralized at the physical layer, at the logical layer is simply one ledger. And at the economic layer, even so much more centralized. So how does the economic layer contribute on the blockchain, on the ledger, contributes to power centralization? And it has to do with grammar. Very predominant in the blockchain space is a set of verbs like mint and transfer, which encode a central authority that is the one that issues, and then the subjects are just there to transfer. So now we can speak about a capitalist logic versus a post-capitalist aspiration. So Bitcoin, being the sort of like founder of this space, encodes a very, very strong monetary logic. And with this, it brings this power centralization and this power centralization logic with itself, and an ethos that has influenced the way we understand blockchain, the way we sort of narrow our ambition of the solution space we operate in. There's a replication of the capitalist economic incentives occurring also in the blockchain space that we want to challenge. And that we have a proposal that this challenge can occur not through only discourse, but also through opening the ledger grammar further to include more verbs and to capture different narratives, different values into the blockchain. DeFi, ReFi all speak to this, but the truth is, if we don't tackle this core grammar, core language, core way of understanding the economy that is embedded in blockchain ethos, we're not really going to be able to bridge the gap between technology and aspiration.
All the nice things that we heard in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, so here is another paradox. From the social perspective, blockchain boasts to have a trustlessness as its core feature. But we know that there is no collaborative economic networks without trust. There's no economic collaboration over time if there's no trust. So we think that it's really necessary to create and encode social trust at the economic layer. We need to get trust at the economic layer, otherwise there's no risking together.
So let's talk about economic interoperability. There's much that has been said in the blockchain space around like inter-blockchain interoperability, but it really does not create the kind of economic interoperability that we sort of are aspiring, are implying in our different sub-discourses like ReFi and DeFi. And if we notice, what is the main economic interoperability layer in blockchain? Well, it's fiat money, it's the markets. We end up measuring our tokens against the crypto, against the US dollar in the end, or the euro. So we need to acknowledge that in order to fully create an alternative economic system on top of blockchain, we need to address economic interoperability endogenously. And although there's certainly some effort in that direction, we need an ecosystemic approach, and that's what we're hoping we can propose through this expanded ledger grammar. So accounting is actually a very inspiring source for this grammar. I mean, for all the innovation that the blockchain space is bringing, accounting is already a time-tested protocol. It is formal, it is distributed, it is enabling a network of ledgers to interoperate with each other, and it's basically the backbone of our current economic system. So we need not only to look forward, but we also need to learn back from our legacy systems. Accounting is not only static, it's also programmable. That means that we can create different kinds of accounts, different kinds of accounting practices. And what is most importantly, it's grammar, and what the blockchain space needs to integrate into itself already acknowledges social relationships. It has this capacity to issue, that means another party other than itself, to credit and to debit. So these core grammatical constructs actually serve as the foundation for higher order constructs in a more robust economic and ledger grammar. And we are hoping to build on top of this, and when bringing into the blockchain space at the core, at the lowest level, in order to really be able to create that economic interoperability we're speaking of.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do we see that is going to happen when we do that integration of that accounting grammar and its more expressive language? Well, we're hoping to create a network in which we can create endogenous liquidity. So what does this mean? That we do not rely on on-ramps and off-ramps into current systems so heavily in order to create this interoperability across blockchains at the economic level. And the way we do this is through reciprocal staking. So to unpack that a little bit, what does that mean to create endogenous liquidity through reciprocal staking? So what it means is that agents can share equity in each other, if we understand that most tokens are a form of equity, share equity in each other, use this equity as collateral for credit, with that collateral for credit, open bilateral credit lines that are serving a shared goal between these two agents, a shared performance. This can obviously, through network protocol, do transitively and be performed transitively, so we can actually scale this financial logic. So what we're proposing is actually a financial architecture for power decentralization, for economic decentralization.
Yeah, so this is then kind of what we are looking for. If we think of what could become possible, that right now, the funding sources are really determining the direction of the blockchain ecosystem. And we know that the capitalism's greatest power is how it really continuously mutates and co-opts and eats everything into itself and changes things into its own shape and logic. And that's kind of the danger or in the process of which the blockchain is too. So our aim is a blockchain as an autonomous network that isn't co-opted by external economic logics. Instead of becoming a capitalism's extension. So our question is that how do we give it a chance to self-determine its direction? So yes, that's where we come to.
So what we envision blockchain to be, when we understanding as economic communication network, is a more inclusive and expressive economic network, where instead of having these central blockchains, we can recognize all economic agents as capable of issuing, as capable of expressing through this issuance economic power and economic communication and economic coordination. So for that, we require, however, a new economic grammar that goes beyond minting and transferring, and even beyond crediting and debiting and issuing, but staking, clearing, and a whole gamut of different financial and economic expressions and verbs and words.
Yeah, it's like a new economic grammar.
Yeah, and a new economic medium too, a collaboration medium, an economic collaboration medium that encodes collaboration at its ethos, at its core.
Yeah, so this is what the book is for and the EXA project is for. And the protocol stack, kind of what we've been working on, is our way how to actually create it. So the book is, we think of it as the EXA economic paper as it's an economic intervention and a strategy to resolve this blockchain paradox by creating an economic interoperability protocol. And now, so we have the book object here, but what we would like to next do is to turn this grammar and this book object into a discourse, into a living discourse, a generative discourse. And for that,
We want to integrate multiple stakeholders. We want to integrate your voice. We believe that in order to form a discourse, we need to engage and include as many voices as possible. And that's why our economic strategy is one of the political intervention to transform our economic system from capitalism into post-capitalism starts with the generation of a discourse.
and if you go to the next slide, to activate, for this reason, to activate the post-capitalist economic discourse, we would like to invite you, everybody interested, to co-publish the book as an open access publication and a strategic intervention in political economy. You will find the instructions there. And if you're interested, please come to talk to us or check the instructions at the discourse.exa.io. What we've also created is this like ultimate open access publication experience. A website, book website, where the book is there, the glossary is there, the audiobook is there. You can tune the lighting, the fonts. You can download the PDF, the e-publication. You can order the print book. And the idea is that we've organized the book into its paragraphs and its glossary words into 729 units of discourse. And they've been encoded as non-fungible tokens with generative rights. And in combination, they're going to unleash post-capitalism as this collective generative discourse. The idea is that when you acquire a paragraph of the book, at the same time, it's revealed at the book's website for everybody to read. So it's basically a play for the commons.
We're open to questions.
Thank you.
Across blockchains. So definitely the experimentation is in there. And I mean, I don't need to say that if we build it on top of a global virtual machine, then that means that we're not really bringing interoperability at the lowest layer. So most definitely, those are great. We are actually ourselves experimenting with these logics in the Ethereum virtual machine. And what our proposal is to bring it down to the lower layer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For a while and trying to understand it. Okay. How it's amazing. It's like you said, rethinking the back end of economy, not the front end. How do you expect to engage community into understanding this whole new concept?
That's a really good question. I hope that you will help us. Yeah. But we are thinking, that's why we are using the grammar and the language idea too. So how do you learn a new language? How do you learn a new grammar? And we kind of, for us, okay, we've like designed the grammar on the protocol level, but that's why we need to get it alive. So the discourse aspect, it needs to become a discourse, a network, and that's what we are going for. In the first sense, in the first stage now, we are now establishing ourselves the first mutual stakeholding agreements with aligned groups to start creating the economic network.
And again, the discourse, nurturing the discourse is part of that educational effort because we will need many, many stakeholders in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If there's no more questions.
We're done? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys, for your time.
Thanks.